laws around firearms are probably the most complicated, I would say, in the country.
Yeah.
Can we think of anything more complicated than firearm laws? I don't even know. Like,
No.
it's really complicated because certain things are mandated by the state and certain things are mandated by the federal government, and then there's some things that the federal government doesn't touch because of the Second Amendment. So I outlined a couple ones here that, just some basics, and I know it looks wordy. I don't even know if you can read it on the screen when I throw this picture up. But this is as short as I can make it. So the first one, so 18 to purchase shotguns, rifles, and ammunition, and then handguns, you have to be 21 or older. Would we all say that's pretty much common sense or reasonable? I would say so. We'll get into in a little bit. Elizabeth Warren actually wants to bump all ammunition, firearms, and guns up to 21. That's something that she wants to do in her policy. Number 2, fugitives, people involuntarily committed to the mental institutions cannot purchase firearms. There was a lot of information on this.
Right.
I did not include it all because honestly it was confusing reading it.
Yeah. I looked into it very little. There's a lot there.
Yeah. Because then there was stuff on domestic violence, and then there was stuff on misdemeanors, but over a certain time it's okay, and then depending on what the misdemeanor is, it's very confusing. What do you guys think about fugitives or people like in those crimes not being able to purchase a firearm?
I mean, if you're a fugitive, technically you haven't been caught from.
Yeah, so you're working for felony.
Felony.
For a felon.
So I typed that
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
I'll fix it for.
I mean, like if it's something like assault or battery or something like that, makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
So a violent crime.
If it's a violent crime, fine.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. For other felonies,
Like
doesn't make
marijuana
any
charges
sense.
where people
Yeah,
use
drug
their
charges, stuff like that. Especially if it's just using
Right.
or possession or something.
Yeah.
Then
But
distributing, I think, would be a little bit more complicated.
Distributing would be
depending on
more
what it is,
Instead of
what was
getting
the
network,
amount.
like an organized crime,
Right.
even getting near that.
right.
Actually, I think the website.
Also, something I find
right.
weird, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with this necessarily, is the idea that it's like, hey, you're 21, now you can get drunk and buy guns.
Together.
That's too much for 1 year.
Yeah. Spread it out. 22, 24. One thing that, and I don't know if you hold the same opinion, this is just something without any research at all, just something that what I think is that I feel like people convicted of a felony should be able to purchase a firearm. They should have a pathway to do so.
You can get-
I don't feel
there
like
are
they,
pathways.
Yeah, you can get your rights reinstated. It
Oh,
depends on
okay.
your crime and how much time has passed, and if you get the right lawyer, you can definitely
Yeah.
Oh,
get your
okay.
rights
You
reinstated.
can get your.
I wasn't sure if it
get
was like a
everything
7-year
sealed.
period or
It
like
depends.
it's probably very, I don't
There
know.
there is a time period in between, but then after that you pay a lawyer a certain amount. They do the paperwork, and then most of the time you'll get
you get
get
it back
everything
unless
back.
okay.
Unless you're a month.
And that's how I think.
And then on that same vein, then you won't have to, like when you're filling out job applications, if the thing comes up and it's like, oh, are you a felon or have you committed a felony in the past, you don't need to say you were
Right.
Okay.
at that point, because then your record would be
Expunged.
sealed. Yeah, expunged.
Okay.
That's a proper term.
Okay. So I said this before, so Second Amendment serves as a legal basis for the right of the people to keep and bear arms. So that's used by the federal government a lot, to not kind of step into certain parts, and that's where the state takes over. And that's why the state's basis of carrying and purchasing, it varies so much. Like for instance, that's why I actually put these here. So like for my handgun here, I have a Beretta. So this is a 20-round magazine for it, and this is a 15. Both of these are illegal in every state touching Pennsylvania. Am I correct on that? Delaware, Maryland, Ohio, New York, and New Jersey.
Yeah.
So I can't, if I'm carrying with one of these.
You're getting a nice fine and possibly jail time. And if you have hollow points in there, you'll be fined.
Which I
as
normally
well.
do for self-defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy
Yeah.
that it varies that much by state.
You don't get the good stuff in New Jersey.
That's right, PA's where it's at. So state and local governments regulate carrying laws. So the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, which Tad said, so they regulate the standards for licensing for gun vendors as well. And that's federal. Yeah, that's federal for distributing and vendors and selling and stuff like that. So shotguns, rifles, machine guns, firearm mufflers, silencers are regulated by the National Firearms Act of 1934, and the purchase of semi-automatic weapons is legal in most states. Do you know what states offhand are not legal? So these would be semi-automatic rifles. So like that's like the AR-15, the AKs that you hear in the news.
I mean, I know in California you can still have an AR-15. There's a lot of laws around it.
You have to probably jump through a lot of
Yeah.
paperwork and stuff.
Like, I don't know
like
if you
that.
still have to have like a magazine welded
Mhm.
inside the gun still, but I know it was a thing for a while.
That's right. You did say that. I forgot.
Like,
and that's in
so-
New York too, right?
Probably.
So what
I know
that-
California is one of the worst states.
Yeah. So what's happened before? Actually, you can explain it. What that is.
Yeah, so like in
welding.
California, have your rifle to be compliant, it can't have over like a 10-round magazine. So, in a lot of things, you can't have a detachable magazine because it makes an assault rifle. So your magazine has to be welded more or less inside your gun or pinned so it cannot be removed. So you can't put 30 round or whatever.
You'd have to load it
inside
in
it.
individually.
Yeah, you have to take the rounds and stick them through the receiver
Mhm.
and down into the magazine.
I see.
Yeah.
Make it difficult. I
Yeah.
guess.
It's sort of like with hunting regulations and how many
Exactly.
rounds you can have
Right.
Mhm.
in there. Okay,
Well,
that makes
you can't
sense to
hunt
me.
with an AR. No.
Certain states you can. You
Let's
can hunt
wait.
with pistols too in certain states.
That would be so impractical.
That would be so yeehaw.
There's a deer.
Well, see, a lot of people do like with their pistols for like rabbit
Yeah.
hunting, get better with their guns.
Mhm. And that makes
Yeah.
makes sense. Tell you what, hitting a rabbit with a pistol, that's tough because that's why you use shotguns, because the spread of the bird shot is so far, and then rabbit skin's so thin it doesn't take much.
I went through a small animal murdering just festival one time. Like now that I think back on it, it was kind of disturbing how much wildlife I killed.
Well, it was.
Like,
Allegedly.
that probably wasn't good.
I was hunting rabbits the one time, and a rabbit came out of the bush. I was posted on the one side, so when they would run across, I would hit them as they go across the field. And one of them went straight at me and stopped. And it was just a reaction. I just pull up my 12 gauge and go, bam! And it there was nothing.
cotton balls.
There was nothing left. There was guts hanging off a tree. It disappeared. So there was no stew from that rabbit.
And I forgot I had buckshot.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
All right, so
We're gonna get a letter from PETA. Just
okay, PETA podcast. So a lot of people are saying we need background checks. That's like a big thing we hear, and I feel like a lot of times it's super misleading to people who don't know the background of firearms or purchasing or hunting or anything like that. There is background checks.
It's as easy as buying a toothbrush.
It's not. What was that one journalist? He went to go buy a firearm.
Oh, he got denied.
And
There's a few.
he actually got denied. He wanted to show you how easy it was. It's easy as buying a toothbrush, and he went and he actually couldn't
Yeah, he
buy
had a
it.
domestic dispute on his record, and he
Yeah.
got denied at the counter.
So it was kind of funny. But anyway, so background checks are required. I didn't know this, but Bradley Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993. So the check system is called the NICS, which, before we get into the candidate stuff, what I found crazy was certain candidates contradicted themselves on certain times, but all of them were just like, we need to run background checks by the NICS. And I'm like, that's already a thing. Like, that's already happening.
Mhm.
So they're just kind of reinstating fact, and I think it's just for people like, oh yes, I agree.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't include on this because I didn't feel like typing it all out, but some states actually use that, and then they also use a local system.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
I
what
think Florida does something like that.
they do.
I think.
Which I agree with more because that's probably more finance system
Mhm.
for the people in that state. So permits to purchase, only a dozen of the U.S. 50 states require purchasing permits for handguns. We are not one of them.
I know my buddy lives in Illinois. He has to get a license to buy a handgun. Then you go through the steps for the rest of it.
So to clarify that, in the state of Pennsylvania, we have permits for carrying concealed.
Mhm.
okay, so
Yeah,
run me through this because you've both gone through this before.
yeah.
I don't own a gun,
Mhm.
so run me through it. The first time you are buying a handgun.
Well, I'll say mine since mine happened literally this year because I grew up with rifles, but really until I met you, I really didn't know much about handguns. It wasn't something in my purview.
You're welcome.
So literally, I walk. Tad brings me up to this one gun shop. I already have the gun in mind that I want. They pull it out. Say, "Here, you want to check it out?" I'm not. I understand what it is. So I'm just like, okay.
That's definitely a gun.
That's a gun. Pop the magazine out, put it back in. Yep, okay, I'll take it. So there's 2 forms that I had to fill out. Which one? They were
It's a whole bunch of numbers. I can't.
basically, yeah.
Something. Yeah. Whatever. It's
Yeah, so
called.
I filled out pretty much all basic information. Are you a felon? Address, name, and then they said if you give your social security number, it makes it easier for us. And I'm just like, I don't care. So I give them mine, which is. While I'm filling out that information, he takes it. I give him my license and all that information. I start filling out another one, and then where I was at, you could do it by phone, which I've seen. He went online and he ran it through the background check system, which
Goes right through Harrisburg.
Goes right through Harrisburg. Now, for my job, I've had federal background checks, so you know, whatever. But filled that out. He took that. I think the second form was a purchasing form.
I believe
Just
so.
information that I am buying this handgun from this vendor.
Yeah, that stays in
And
his records.
that's for his record,
Yeah.
not for like the state
So
saying
like if
I own that
like
gun.
if
It's more for.
if your gun gets stolen, you can go to his records and get the serial number if you didn't write it down, which you should.
I have the box.
So you
What
has
if they
all that
steal the
information.
box too?
No, and I keep it in the box at all times. So and then I paid for it, and then I walked out, and that was it.
Okay, so you walked out with the gun the same day.
About 30 minutes.
I wouldn't even say it was that long.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Twenty-
I didn't know
25
that.
minutes.
I thought that it was sort of like
Like
when you
waiting.
go to a job and you get a background check done. They have to send out paperwork. They have
I
to
know
get that
it's
sent back.
and the thing is, the more firearms you purchase, the faster it is. If I go
'Cause
there,
then
I'm
your
in and out in
information's-
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, because your information's already there.
Yeah.
He probably already has it ready to go to run through Harrisburg, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because he does it
basically.
every time.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and that's pretty much the gist of it. And then just to walk through, so in the state of Pennsylvania, which it's crazy because we were just talking about this because we're about to talk about carrying. It's different in each county how to get a carrying license. So
Yes.
for Luzerne County, where we live, I walked into the courthouse. I handed the sheriff a check and the form that I pre-filled out and my license. He went back. 2 minutes later, came back out, grabbed me, took my photo, printed off my license with my information, said it was for self-defense, handed it to me, and sent me on my way. I was in and out in less than 15 minutes to get that, and I actually had my license when I left. In your county, you did the same thing,
Yep.
and you
I
had
had to
to
wait 2 weeks.
You had to wait 2 weeks in the
Yep.
mail to get it.
You know, which
Oh
county?
no, I had to go back in for
Which
it.
county?
Oh, you had to go back in.
Yeah.
You didn't even get to
Columbia
go
County.
Oh, I mean,
So
Columbia
literally,
too.
Yep.
right next to it. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Columbia. So you guys are both in that one. But that's how different it is in each county. Not even just state.
And did you have to have the references for yours?
I did have tab 2.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the same form. I did have tab 2, which they didn't call.
You're gonna get him in trouble.
Yeah, right. Okay, so permitted purchasing handguns. That's not really something we deal with here, but I'm sure it's in California. They probably have.
If it's a gun law, it's in California. It just saves.
If it's a current gun law, it's in California.
Yeah.
So permit to carry, most states require permits to carry handguns. Do some states require for open carry to have the carry, or is it like?
We don't have a permit for open
Because
carry.
if you wanted to purchase a handgun, you can legally open carry that gun right out of the store.
Yeah.
No
Throw it in the
license at
holes.
all. Now, if you want to
Yeah.
conceal it in your coat or something, then you need a license.
Well, unless while on your own property, you don't have to.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
in public.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the law with cars?
Unless you're in
Unless-
Walmart.
and inside of a vehicle, if you do not have a permit, the magazine and firearm have to be separated from each other. You can't
See.
have them, like magazine, the glove box, pistol in the trunk, whatever it is. If you have your permit, keep it on your hip loaded.
Yeah.
Is there like a distance that the ammunition and the
They
magazine?
usually classify it as 2 separate containers.
Okay,
Because
so if I
inside
have it
your
like
car-
in like if I have like the firearm in like a case and then the ammunition still in the box in a bag over here.
Yeah, that'd be fine, as
then
long
that's
as they're
fine.
separate.
They're separate, okay.
Because even if like you have a loaded magazine inside the firearm, that's considered loaded.
But what if I have like a loaded magazine next to the firearm in a case?
Inside the same case,
Yeah.
you could possibly
They
get in
might-
trouble.
oh, okay.
It'd be iffy.
Okay,
I
so
wouldn't risk it.
what we're saying is it's complicated.
Yeah.
So that's why when I went to purchase, like I was looking up so many laws, and I remember when I bought my gun, I'm just like, where can I go and where can I not go? Which we're not going to go into, but yeah, it's complicated.